Nhu An Do, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay. I was not breastfed, and if you ask me, it was because companies made people like my mom think that formula was better than breast milk. If you ask my mom, she would say she didn't breastfeed me because she didn't want saggy boobs. So, of course, I was going to breastfeed my child when I got pregnant. I live in Park Slope, home of the $10 sourdough bread. I have a therapist. I've had shamanic healing. I do Reiki, tarot card, and astrology. My breast milk was going to be very healing and organic. Breast milk is natural. It uses less plastic. It's decolonizing. It's essentially avocado toast for babies. I was determined to breastfeed. So the first night my child was born and they put her on me, she did her job. We had skin-to-skin contact and she latched, but there was no milk. So the first night she cried. And I didn't think that she needed food. I thought she needed me to chant to her. And it was like, ek, gong, ka. I mean, it wasn't even a nice, soothing chant. It was just all night. In the morning, she was still crying. And the doctor checked us out and said, okay, she lost a little weight, but, nothing to be alarmed. Just keep an eye on it. So we leave. She's crying down the hall, and the nurse, God bless them, comes running after me with a single-serving bottle of formula with the nipple already attached to it. It was definitely something you would find in the inside aisles of a grocery store next to the Oreos and not the outside. And I grab my husband and I say, don't take it. We're going to exclusively breastfeed. But he takes it anyways because you know how that goes. And we get home, and I weigh my baby the next day. And she's lost weight. So I tell my husband, we call the lactation consultant, and in not so many words, she says, people your age don't make milk. But there's this off-use medication that you can buy from Canada on the dark web using cryptocurrency. And so I also go to the internet for wisdom, and I found a site called Lactators Anonymous. And it says it's very normal for children to lose weight when they first start breastfeeding, and so I was determined to breastfeed. They say, but if you give them a bottle, it causes nipple confusion. And nipple confusion is where the milk comes out of the bottle very fast compared to the boob, and it makes your child lazy and doesn't want to suck from the mom. And so you think that you're giving your child a bottle of formula, but next thing you know, they're homeless. So I was determined to breastfeed. The next day, it's very quiet because my baby doesn't have any energy to cry. So I called the midwife, and I told her, she's like, well, are your boobs getting bigger? I said, yes, but there's no milk. She's like, well, it's not unheard of for people who've had a C-section for the milk to come in late. But if you can give her a bottle of formula, but it will change the flora in her system. And I think, great, either I starve my baby or I set her up for a lifetime of yeast infections. So the next morning, I open up her diapers and I see crystals, not like la crystals, like uric acid crystals. And so I'm very panicked, but I really want to breastfeed. And I get this phone call from a friend of mine who's a teacher, thank goodness for teachers, and she is awesome. Like, she doesn't wear tight jeans, she eats like as much pasta as she wants, and she like takes Advil. And she looks at me and she says, Nhu An, feed your baby. And I got it. I needed this straight up like advice, and so I run and I get the single serving bottle of formula, and I hold it in my hand, but I can't give it to my baby because it feels like liquefied Wonder Bread. So I give it to my husband, and he puts a drop, literally a drop of formula on her tongue, and she eyes pop open, and it's just like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction. It was like formula EpiPen, and I swear she said, "Mama, take me to Flavor Town." And so I start using formula and breastfeeding her, and it takes me 6 weeks and an industrial pump, but I ended up breastfeeding and formula feeding my child, breastfeeding for like 3 years. Thank you.
Nhu An Do, ladies and gentlemen.